I need coffee, and I will stop complaining about how tired I am when I stop being so tired. And this soap actually reminds me of how much I need coffee at this exact moment. But before I tell you about this soap, I gotta do the thing because it's my thing. Hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. I mean, even getting the let's make stuff thing out was like, that was an effort for me. I am so tired. It is day 250. Hello, Sudsers. Welcome back to Soap and Clay, where we make all of the soapy things. And we are making a coffee soap, which is cool. It's a peppermint mocha, which I love. But I don't have one in my hand right now. So I'm bummed about that. But this particular soap, we did the peppermint mocha thing for my line, right? Back during 12 Days of Christmas, and it's gone. Like, they're all gone. They're done. This is for a wholesale account, and you can find them, at her shop. So you can definitely pick them up from a drop in the ocean for sure. But with this particular pour, it is a little bit different than mine in that it's a completely natural bar. Not that my bars aren't natural. In the United States, none of this means anything, but with hers, what that means is no micas, no palm, and all of the scent blends are just essential oils. So it's always a fun experiment. So that's what we are going to be working with today, as well as some big batch form, because we always make big batches, and I didn't film a small batch for this. So let's go. So we are doing things a little bit different today. Normally I show you guys like itty bitty baby batches because they're easier to film, but especially during this time of the year, putting in a little loaf when in actuality I need to make a lot of loaf, it's becoming more of a hassle to actually make the little loaves for the video than I can really handle right now. So I'm making a slightly bigger version of that today, and we are doing a peppermint mocha. Now, this peppermint mocha is different than the peppermint thing that we did during the 12 Days of Christmas soap that's in my line, and one of the reasons why it's different is because this is not in my line. This is for a wholesale account, A. Two, this is for a wholesale account that does not do any palm, which is great, because I've been actually, I don't know, I've been moving away from palm, and I will probably go back, in all honesty. I love palm oil, and that's, I love what it does in soap. And there is a whole big reason as to why, palm oil is controversial in soap making, and it is. Well, I mean, it's controversial just in general, right? The deforestation that occurs within palm oil, not good. Not good. And palm oil is found in everything. It's found in, our chocolate or our French fries or our lipsticks. It's everywhere. And it's also a very interesting crop in that it is something that is very easy to grow, has a huge high yield, and you can very easily responsibly source it. And so for my part, I have responsibly sourced it, and I am part of the RSPO, and we do not do deforestation. We're, not killing any orangutans, doing the things. But, still that said, I have been playing with other oils within my recipes that I'm actually, at this point, really quite digging.
with soap making. And as I said, I will probably go back to more palm recipes, but for this particular instance it doesn't matter, because again, this particular client does only palm free stuff, so that's awesome. But also she does none fragrance oils whatsoever, which is also awesome. And since I love making my own blends and doing all the things anyway for all of that, it's a very easy request to fulfill with something like this, because you know, essential oils are the mainstay in, you know, all of my soaps, but whatever. So anyway, with this, what I've done is I have mixed up a the bottom layer for 2 bigger molds, not giant. Each of those molds do 24 bars, so we're working with 48 bars in total. And so I've mixed up enough soap batter to do the bottom layer of the Peppermint Mocha, which is colored with a cocoa powder, and it has a delightful essential oil blend, and it does throughout actually the entirety of all of the soap. But the one on the bottom here, this actually has more of the coffee essential oil as well as the cardamom and the clove and the ginger. So it's a 4 parts cardamom, 3 parts coffee, 2 parts clove, 2 parts ginger.
Good night.
Good night, babies. The Soap Like Kidlets are coming here to wish me good night because it's time for them to go to bed so mommy can get her videos done. It's just another aspect of, you know, working and being a mom and doing all of the things. So these 2 layers are ready to firm up. Two layers, not 2 layers, 2 loaves. The 2 loaves. 1 layer. It's a 2-layer bar. Whatever. It's all thing. So while that is firming up in the mold, I will be getting the next section ready to go to pour on top. Now this is the section in the Peppermint Mocha soap that is very, very heavy on the peppermint. And the reason for that is peppermint does not discolor, and I love that. So I want to use that basically only exclusively within the top portion of the bar. There is a little bit of the coffee scent that goes into that, but not so much that it's going to do anything weird with the batter, which is good. Now the top layer here, it is the white and the red. Now because we are working with, you know, natural colorants, doing all the things, the red blend is actually different, which is sort of funny because I've been having this thing for like, I don't know, 1 or 2 months, right? Trying out the True Red from Mad Micah's, like the True Red blend. And in and of itself, I sort of have beef with that anyway. Like, you saw the Merida bar and it did not go True Red. It was not a thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe user error, whatever. And I literally peeled Merida's hair off and created new hair with my red that I have been using, you know, forever with my blend. And it worked out well. And then I tried it a couple other times, and I don't know, it's like a love-hate relationship with this True Red blend, right? Because on one hand, yes, it can produce a good red, I guess, but you actually have to use a boatload of colorants, and I don't like doing that. And also, it requires 3 different colorants in order to achieve that, which is kind of annoying because I'm opening 3 different containers. Anyway, that doesn't really matter because I'm not using the True Red for this, although I did for my peppermint soap for my line. And so I will show you that at the end of the video, and you can see, you know, what we got with that and the differences between this red and the red that I used, the True Red, for my line. This particular red, it is a madder root and elkanet, and actually a little bit of carrot, all infused. And so it's an oil infusion, right? So a little bit of extra oil goes into this batch, and it really does create such a beautiful dark red color with all of this. And it's, you know, it's delightful. This is a good red. I'm actually playing with this particular wholesale account reds for this, which, I mean, they always do the Peppermint Mocha every year, but I am changing up the reds because it's sort of a test batch to see how red I can get it using natural colorants, because they actually also want to do a bright red, like Starbucks cup dish soap for their holiday line. And so I'm like, cool, this is me literally playing to see if this is at all a possibility. Now, when you're working in big batch form here, I mean, bigger batch form, again, this is not a huge batch. 48 total bars of soap. It's not that big of a deal. But what I like to do is I know how big my mold is, right? And so I have this big old mess of soap, this big old pot of soap, and I weigh out what the mold will handle to make sure that all of my bars are the same, you know, weight and size and all the jazz. And so I essentially split it between the two molds, doing it that way. So like in the beginning, it was, you know, the 55 ounces for the base for each of the, you know, bottom layers with the mocha part. And then I basically did the same thing with these two, but just split the 55 ounces between the white and the red, and it's the whole thing. And I'm actually pouring them in two different ways. The one that I just did was on in the pot swirl, right? But now you're going to see a sort of fine line or a thin lines pour into or onto the top of the second soap. And we'll look at the cut and see which ones we like better from them, because I don't know, I like swirls in general. You know me, I'm a big fan of swirls, but I am super a sucker for thin lines pours, just because I like lining it into the pot. I like the way it looks when it comes out of the pot and goes into the mold, all of the things. And so I thought, you know, just for funsies, because that's one of the beauties of artists and soap making, they don't have to be exactly the same. Like, no bar is meant to be the same. And so I thought it would be fun to just play with the pour and see which one ultimately looks better. Is it going to be, you know, the in the pot swirl where I took the skewer and did things, or a thin lines pour where I am not taking a skewer to it and I am just going to, you know, pour this into the mold without giving the soap batter really any movement. And I'm interested to see which one I ultimately like better, which is going to look more like a peppermint stick. And, you know, you can also let me know which one you like better. That's part of the fun of all of this, isn't it? Just experimenting and doing the soapy things. And I like experimenting and doing the soapy things, and I like it when my sudsers have opinions. So yay, it's a fun game we get to play. That's cool. The stuff in the mold there, also cool. Look how beautiful that is. That is absolutely gorgeous. But you're gonna have to remember at the end of all of this which batch is which, because I'm gonna forget is the problem. And so if I call one the thin lines and one the in the pot, you're gonna have to keep me honest. But these guys will definitely go into the oven and get C-popped, because I mean, don't I C-pop everything? That's just totally my thing. But also, I really do want to make sure that these reds stay very bright and red and beautiful. That's very important for the whole process, because again, this is a Peppermint Mocha bar, and I don't want that red using natural colorants to get weird and not be, you know, red at the end. And so this is what we're going to, this is how we're going to tell the difference, right, between the two. So this particular top is going to be kind of just sloppily skewered to give it, yeah, like that, like the mantra type, whatever, that. And there is a noticeable big white spot on one side of the soap where not a lot of red went through. So okay, cool, awesome. And the other soap, I will lay down the rest of the red pattern, or the rest of the red soap, and I think it's going to be red throughout the entirety of the top. Like there's going to be red accounted for in the entirety of the, you know, the top. Jeez, my words aren't working right now. I'm actually, I think this is because I'm feeling super guilty because my kids just went to bed without me giving them a story, and that like never happens. And I really do want to go snuggle with them and give them a story because my whole game is thrown off right now. But yeah, so that one, yep, red will exist throughout the entirety of the bar. The other one has a big chunk of white on it. So that means the one with the big chunk of white on it is the thin lines pour. This one, the one I just did, is the in the pot swirl. And we will check this cut out tomorrow and see which pattern we ultimately like between the two. Now this was completely by accident that I put them back on the table in the same way. So this guy right here, that was the in the pot swirl, yes. And that guy right there, that was the thin lines pour. That was the one that I did second. So let's cut these and see which one we ultimately end up liking more. And we are going to be starting with the thin lines pour because that was the one that I pulled off the thing second, which means it gets cut first. And I am curious to see what it looks like inside these bars. And very cool, very awesome. I really like the contrast between the red and the white for sure. That's very beautiful. Lots of different depths and variations and everything going on in these bars, and that's very, very lovely for sure. I wouldn't exactly call that like a peppermint stick necessarily though, because there's a lot of movement, but I really do think we're going to get a lot of movement and no like really straight lines anyway, because that's not, either way that wasn't the pour that I was going for, so it was meant to be all swirly. But yeah, these bars are great. They look beautiful. All of the stuff, it's very nice. The kaolin clay giving some cool texture to the bottom portion is amazing. And I do not believe I actually put any kaolin clay in the top portion because I wanted it to be super, super smooth. And no glycerin rivers within this, because for whatever reason, whenever I make this bar, every year when I make this bar for this client, I don't really ever want to play with glycerin rivers. But I do like that. That is very pretty. And this is the first bar that I poured, so the in the pot swirl, wherein I put some dollops of soap of the colored soap into the white batter, and then took my skewer to it and moved it around a little bit. And that's super cool too. This is one of the problems that soapers run into though, wherein their soaps look like meat. So if their entire batch of soap was the red and the white up there, it totally looks like meat because you are forcing the colors with doing an in the pot swirl and like moving it around with your skewer. You're forcing the colors to sort of blend into themselves more, giving some pink tones instead of just straight red and white. Less of a contrast, more swirly, but also more swirly when you're dealing with red and white usually means more it looks like meat. And so for that reason, I tend to shy away from in the pot swirls for red and white. You should always go with like a thin lines and don't manipulate the batch too terribly much. Otherwise, you're gonna get, meat soaps. If you want meat soaps though, that's what you do. And I don't know, which one do you like better? I personally like the thin lines better. I think the contrast is beautiful between the red and the white. But you let me know in the comments. And that is my true red from the the batch that I did for my own line. And yes, it discolored, it did its thing. It was going to do that, but this like natural red here, it's gorgeous, and it won't actually discolor. So this one's pretty awesome. It is day 250, the Peppermint Mocha.
So the blend to get that red, it's beautiful. It's completely gorgeous. I love that a lot. And the oils that are in this particular recipe, they definitely work to help amplify that red. Now you do have to be careful because when you're naturally coloring something red, you want to make sure that the oils that you're using are not too terribly white in nature, right? Like a coconut oil, for example, because that can be very difficult getting it back to, or getting it to a red color instead of it just going pink. So that is that for the Peppermint Mocha bar. If you are interested in picking this up, you cannot find this at soapandclay.com, but you can find it at a dropintheoceanshop.com. So check her out. Definitely, she has a great line of eco warrior, eco-friendly products. They're delightful. I love everything that she does. She inspires me daily, so go check her out. If you're interested in more soapy antics, subscribe to the channel. That'd be cool. I would love to have you here. For those of you who are here, I'd love to have you here. Thank you so much. You're awesome. You are always awesome, and I will never stop believing that to be the case unless you're mean to me in my comments, in which case I'll cry. But nobody has been so yet, so I don't know why I just opened up that big old bag of karma for myself. Anyway, I am done for today. I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of 365 days of soap. Bye.